Whether the team is performing clean or unsightly, we'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So the Washington football team falls to 1-4 with a 30-10 loss at home to the Los Angeles Rams. And the score really doesn't tell the story. This was an abysmal performance by the Washington football team, the worst of the season, and it's not even close. Yeah, I think it was a little weather impacted, but this was just a bad performance all around. The offensive line was not good. The quarterback play was even worse. And there really weren't many opportunities for this offense to get going. I didn't think this was a good job by Scott Turner, the play caller. I thought there were a lot of things wrong with this performance as a whole, and it really contributed to what was one of the worst offensive performances I've seen in a while, and clearly the most abysmal performance I've seen from any NFL offense, including the Jets this season as a whole, because we barely totaled 100 yards of total offense in this game. Now, again, the rain did not help, and putting in a guy that hasn't played in almost 2 years didn't help. And having an offensive line that was not prepared for the challenges that they were going to face did not help. But I thought there were things that could have been done in this game by Scott Turner to kind of ease the burden a bit off of Alex Smith. And I think he was really prepared for Kyle Allen. That's the the game plan that they had put in for Kyle Allen to be in there all game long. And when things switched up as quickly as they did, I don't think he adjusted with the new quarterback that was in. So there's not a lot of takeaways. There aren't many things that I can look at and say, hey, you know, we can hang our hat on this or we can do that. The defense wasn't very good in this game. Again, you know, good enough to not get you blown out, you know, and get 40 put on your head, but not good enough to keep you competitive and give you a chance to win. There were moments in this game where the defense stepped up. Kendall Fuller with another pick. Montez Sweat with a blast shot on Jared Goff that forced a fumble that we needed to recover, but we didn't. You know, a couple of punts in the game, a 4th down stop, a 4th and 1 stop. I mean, the defense did some things in this game to give the offense a chance, but on a day where the offense could barely move the football 10 yards, let alone into the end zone and score points, the defense needed to do more, and they simply didn't. And so where do we begin? I guess we'll go through the keys to the game, going into the game, and see how we fared there, because honestly, that's for me where it starts and ends. If you don't take care of there are keys to the game for a reason, because these are things against this particular and specific opponent that we need to do, and in order to win. And if we don't, we're not. And it changes every week. Some of the things are going to be consistent throughout, like win the turnover battle, you know, take care of the football, limit penalties, things of that nature. That really goes without saying every single week. Those are things that you need to do. But in this particular game, when we were on offense against the Rams defense, number one was block Aaron Donald. I talked about this guy being a ferocious defender, the likes of which you don't see every single week. And he's a guy that can wreck your game plan. Number two was block Aaron Donald. He's one of the most ferocious defenders in this league, the likes of which we don't see every week. And you needed to block him because he can wreck your game plan. The third thing on the list of keys to the game from the offense against the Rams defense was block Aaron Donald. He's one of the most ferocious defenders that you are going to play against. You don't see a guy like this every single week. He can wreck your game plan. And he did. He had 4 sacks. The reason that I had him as number 1, 2, and 3 on this list is because of the exact reason that he ultimately ended up killing us. He can change the game. And they seem to not understand that they were going up against Aaron Donald. Now, I've got to watch the film. This is just me reacting, watching it live from the TV copy. I haven't looked at the film. I haven't watched it again yet. That'll be tomorrow. I'll be able to talk to you on Tuesday's show about the offensive film and on Wednesday's show about the defensive film, and then we'll move on. But I'm just going off of the replays that I saw of him destroying Wes Schweitzer, bullying him into the backfield, into Alex Smith. I'm just going off of him beating Wes Martin across his face and sacking Kyle Allen. All right. I just remember him getting one-on-one matchups consistently through this game as if we got an all-pro guard in there that's going to be able to stand up to Aaron Donald for 4 quarters. I just don't understand how this man wasn't doubled on every snap and on some snaps even triple teamed. You know, keep the running back in and say, hey, wherever 99 goes, you go there too. And for whatever reason, they didn't do it. And he killed us. And I knew that was a very distinct possibility. What was the lead story on Friday's show? Do you remember? I said Steven Sims has been put on IR. And then at the end of that, I also threw in, I am officially worried about this offensive line. Wes Schweitzer has an elbow. Chase Roullier has a knee. Wes Martin is in his 2nd year. This could get ugly. I was worried about the offensive line officially going up against Aaron Donald. And what did we get? We got Aaron Donald destroying, filleting our interior of our offensive line to the tune of 4 sacks. But it wasn't just him. He had help. Reader at linebacker had 3 sacks. Who is this chump anyway? But some of that was due to the quarterbacks, specifically Alex Smith, running into sacks. We'll point that out in the film, though. But I digress. The next thing was take advantage of their secondary. Their secondary is okay. It's not great. There were opportunities there. You saw Terry running down the field wide open when Alex Smith overshot him. There were opportunities that were going to be there throughout this game. On Kyle Allen's lone drive for a touchdown in this game, when he hit Terry on the 3rd down, Terry was wide ass open after he ran that whip route. And there was more of that in store. And you know what the thing was? And let's go to the next one because they kind of tie in together. Don't be afraid of Jalen Ramsey. Let me tell you something. The Rams weren't afraid of Terry McLaurin. And I don't know if that was because of the quarterback situation. I don't know if that was because of the offensive line situation. Or if they just don't respect Terry as the true number 1. Maybe that's what it is when it's all said and done. Jalen Ramsey did not follow Terry McLaurin around the field at all. They weren't even concerned with Terry. They just put wherever Terry went, that's who covered him. They didn't give a shit about Terry. So that kind of speaks volumes as to how they viewed Terry, number 1. They didn't respect Terry, and they didn't respect his ability to hurt them at all. Okay? Number 2, that also says to me, they didn't think our quarterbacks could get him the football. They weren't concerned at all with 17's ability to hurt them, or they weren't convinced that the guy under center, whomever it was going to be able to get him the ball consistently. They were right. And number 3, they probably weren't afraid of our offensive line. They said they won't have enough time to really push the football vertically and get it to Terry anyway. So for whatever reason, maybe it was a confluence of all 3 of those things. Maybe it was none of them. Maybe it was just the fact that Terry McLaurin doesn't scare them. Whatever the case may be, Jalen Ramsey rarely was on Terry in this game. That's just from me looking at Terry, watching the TV copy. We'll get into that when we watch film. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the game again. It's a game that I really don't want to watch again, period, frankly. But I know I have to. So I just know that I saw Ramsey nowhere near Terry for much of this game, which is a sign of disrespect. Take it for what it's worth. So don't be afraid of Jalen Ramsey. We had no reason to be afraid of him because he wasn't even covering our best receiver most of the game. Establish the running backs as playmakers. Yeah, about that. They tried to get those guys the ball out of the backfield, and they probably ended up being the guys that touched it the most in this game. When you look at Antonio Gibson and you look at J.D. McKissick, those guys touched it probably far more than anybody else on the offense combined. And when I said that the running backs needed to be viewed as playmakers and utilized as such, I didn't mean it in that regard where they're getting the football essentially on a bunch of checkdowns out of the backfield and being asked to make these massive plays on 3rd and 9 and, 2nd and 10 and 11. That's not what I had in mind. I wanted these guys to be split out as receivers and given opportunities to beat linebackers one-on-one, sort of like the Panthers used to do with Christian McCaffrey. Or have these guys start out in the backfield, snap the football, and then have them have a one-on-one matchup with a linebacker over the middle of the football field and have him break that guy off over the middle of the football field and get it to him. like we used to do with Chris Thompson and like the Panthers do with Christian McCaffrey and the Saints do with Alvin Kamara. And I talked about it. I even pointed this out early in the season when the Cardinals played the 49ers and Raheem Mostert had a 77-yard touchdown. I wanted to do something like that. Not necessarily just dumping it down to these guys out of the backfield and praying for the best, because the Rams see it coming and they're going to rally to the football and it's not going to gain us a lot of yards. So really disappointed in the way that the running backs were utilized out of the backfield in this particular game. AGG time. Did you see Antonio Gandy Golden? Because I damn sure didn't. He might have been on the field early in the game. He might have been on the field often in this game. I just know I don't recall him ever touching the football in this game, and that's a problem for me. We don't have enough playmakers as it is, so you need to get the football in the hands of young players and try to establish some confidence with them. You know, the more they touch it, the more they see success, the more they feel like they can help and make plays. The less they touch it, the more they're just out there just running around, the less a part of the offense they feel like they are, and the less confident they become. So I just feel like he's a guy you got to get involved at some point. And I thought we were trending in that direction versus Cleveland. I thought we took a step back versus the Ravens, and we completely had him invisible in this game versus the Rams. And then protect the football. For the most part, that was done in this game. We couldn't afford any turnovers, and we didn't turn it over. And we actually got a turnover, almost got a second turnover. But the problem is that even though we protected the football, we protected it too much to a fault. You know, almost like, hey, not going to turn it over. You know, going to give the defense a chance. Well, the defense isn't making any plays, so you've got to make a play. And sometimes that means taking a chance, maybe throwing it into a tight window or two, and that just wasn't happening. If it wasn't there, immediately check down city, or I'm going to tuck it and run and take a sack. So they protected the football, but almost at the expense of the offense running and being functional. It was almost like an overprotection of the football, which really stunted any growth this offense could look to have in week number 5. And then you get to the Rams side of things on the offensive side against our defense, which again, we stated this before the season started. If we're going to have chances to win games, especially against teams that are much better than us, we're going to need our defense to step up. And we really haven't seen the defense step up to the forefront since week 1. Let's be honest. The defense has not stepped up. We've given up 30+ in every game since week 1. The defense has not stepped up. There have been times where the offense has been a contributing factor as to why 30 points were put up on the scoreboard by the opposition. But there have been weeks when the defense or the offense didn't have anything to do with it, and the defense just didn't get stops. And at some point, as I mentioned before, you got to force the opposition to kick field goals. And for another week, we found it tough to keep the opposition out of the end zone. You know, at times, to give up the big play, obviously you're gonna give up a touchdown. There were a couple of times where we were able to keep the Rams out of the end zone, and that was big. You know, it kept the game close. You know, at 17-10, or what was it, 20-7, and then we got to 20-10. It was 17-7 at one point, I believe. No, it wasn't, because it was 13-7, and then they scored another touchdown to make it 20-7. You know, that stop to make it 23-10 kept it close, kept it a 2-score ball game. That was huge, you know. But that was it. That was the only time we kept them out of the end zone. Every other time, whether it's Jared Goff running in because John Bostic wants a great front row seat and front row view of Goff running in the end zone, or it's, you know, the Rams finding a way in on the ground with their running backs, they got it in the end zone 4 times in this game. And again, that speaks to the inability of this defense to force teams to kick field goals. So stop the run was at the top of the list. Felt like we did that at times. I don't know if we were as effective as we would have liked to have been, but I don't think the Rams, they had that one big run to Cam Akers. I don't really think they were overly effective on the ground. I thought they did some good things on the ground at times, but it didn't feel like we got gashed and absolutely taken apart on the ground like it did at times against Cleveland at the end of that game. I didn't feel that way leaving this game. Keep contained on the outside. They were going to run boots and things of that nature. I thought we did a pretty good job of doing that. Chase Young ran him down one time, and I don't think they ran a bunch of boots. They didn't have to. They could just run basic offense against us. It got wet outside, and they didn't need to run boots. They didn't need to get creative. They just stood in a pocket and dissected us. They ran play action fake, but it wasn't boots to get to the outside. It was just play action to suck the defense up, confuse them, and get open receivers, and it worked. Linebackers can't overreact to run. They were just horrible in this game. Forget about overreacting to run. They didn't do anything right, really, in this game, did the linebackers. They didn't react to run well. They didn't overreact to play action fake. They didn't cover in zones. They didn't do anything well in this game. They were horrible, the linebackers were. And again, I assume the film is going to back that up. This is just off of first blush. Again, I haven't watched this game again. I don't want to watch this game again. But I'm assuming, and I tweeted this out during the game, that the safeties and the linebackers were real liabilities in this game. And this is going to be a problem all season long moving forward. I don't think this is just going to magically get better. I think there will be lesser competition that will make the safety and linebacker position seem less of a weakness. But we know, okay? We know that this is a liability on this football team. Those two positions in particular on the defensive side aren't very strong. And you saw it again in this game. They were playing musical chairs at the safety position. DeShazer Everett got in there pretty early. He had a bad pass interference on the third down that would have allowed us to get off the field when we were struggling early in the ball game. He gets there early. Rivera talked about it in his presser and said, look, you know, guys there early. You got to make a play on the ball. Don't run the guy over because you're there early. Go make a play on the football. Anyway, limit the explosive plays. The Rams aren't even a dynamic offense. They don't even have the true speedster that you're worried about that could get over the top, that could hurt you for the 56-yard bomb. And yet, Robert Woods, who isn't very fast, still is able to get behind our defense and scored a 56-yard touchdown, which is amazing to me. But that's where we are defensively. We don't handle our assignments well. We're not a smart team defensively. We don't do the little things well. I told you, attention to details is what separates these teams. I'm watching the Ravens, and they're playing the hell out of some zone, and they're blitzing, and they're playing zone behind it, and everybody's got a zone, and they're covering it, and when a guy runs in their zone, they're running with them, and there's nowhere for the quarterback to go with the football, despite them bringing 6 guys on pressure, and I'm like, this is impressive. If we brought 6 guys on a blitz, there'd be guys running all over the field wide open, especially if that quarterback has time. And so it's just amazing to me how we just don't execute the simplest of coverages that look like, now again, film is going to tell the story. It looked like basic cover 2. It looked like Kendall Fuller was passing off the receiver to the safety that's supposed to have that deep half of the field. It doesn't look hard. Landon Collins seemed to get caught between a rock and a hard place. That one tight end is running over the middle of the football field towards your other safety who has the other deep half. You let him go, okay? And if he catches it, he's a tight end. I'm not worried about a tight end running for a 56-yard touchdown. You know who I am worried about running for a 56-yard touchdown? The damn wide receiver. So cover him. He takes a poor angle after being delayed getting there in the first place. He was late to the party. He takes a poor angle and gets smoked. Look like Landon Collins in simple cover 2. It doesn't get more basic than cover 2 defense. And looked like we blew that coverage. And it looked like a pretty decent call for that coverage offensively from the Rams' perspective. They put a lot of stress on Landon on that particular play call, how they had those routes coming at him. But still, you got to choose the lesser of 2 evils, okay? The MDM on that play, the most dangerous man, is the wide receiver. You take him away. If they want to throw it to the tight end over the middle and he's wide ass open, so be it. One of you guys will catch him. You don't let the guy that is all the way to the outside where there is no help, that if he catches it, he's going to score, let him free. And he looked like he did. So the explosive plays, they had a few of those. Cooper Kupp on the third down trying to get off the field. Catches an easy, simple slant versus Cameron Curl and murks for about a good 44 yards. Just when you're trying to get back in the game, that kills all. I think we had just got the field goal right before the half. Did we get the field goal? Yeah, we did after the turnover. And I think that was their first score of the second half, was that Cooper Kupp. Because it was 20-10 for a little while there in the third quarter. And I think that Cooper Kupp catch and run put them in a position either to put the game away with that final touchdown, or it put them in a position to get that field goal that ultimately ended up putting them up by 13. Either way, another explosive play by the Rams offense. Got to get off the field at third down was another massive key to the game, and we failed miserably. Third down defense was a problem coming in. It's been a problem for this defense over the years. It continues to be a problem for this defense. Now, it's not the problem that it was in past years where it could be 3rd and 17 or 3rd and 13 or 3rd and 22 and the team still converts. It's not that bad. However, we can't get off the field to save our life in 3rd and 7 or less, it seems like. Maybe 3rd and 6. 3rd and 7 may be a little bit too big of a number there. But 3rd and 6, it feels like, and less. We can't get off the field to save our lives. And I feel like second down is killing us. It's absolutely killing us, because I feel like there are times where we get a good stop on first down and we force an incompletion, or, they try to run it and they run to nowhere into a brick wall, and it's 2nd and 9 or it's 2nd and 10, or hell, even a 2nd and 11 or 12, And then I feel like second downs are killing us. Because I remember very vividly, and I can't remember exactly what happened on the Rams' opening possession of the game, but I very vividly remember first down being a loss of yardage for them, whether it was a penalty or whatever. It was 2nd and long, and I think it was 2nd and 15 or 2nd and 17, whatever the case may be. And somehow, some way, I think they tried a screen, and Jimmy Moreland blew it up. Something happened early in the game. Either way. They were in a 3rd and a 2nd and long situation. We had a chance to force a 3rd and long and get off the field, and they ended up getting 9 on 2nd and 17, and I think it was either 2nd and 15 or 2nd and 17. Either way, they got 9, and it brought up a 3rd and like 7 or 8, and they picked it up. And that's the situation where you got to find a way to limit them to a 2 or 3 yard gain on 2nd and long, and force them into a 3rd and super long where they're not comfortable pushing it down the field. They want to use a screen or a draw to just get out of there and punt. Or, you allow them to have something underneath. You rally up and tackle, and you force them into a 4th and 3 situation, and they got to punt. But instead, we let them get into a comfortable down and distance that they were able to convert, and then they took it right down the field and into the end zone ultimately. And so third downs were abysmal. I think they were like 6 of their first 6 on third downs in this game. It was a mess again. Third downs didn't start to settle down until the latter portion of the second quarter and into the third, and then they started converting on third downs again as we got deep into the fourth quarter. And then tackle better. Tackling wasn't a major issue in this game as it had been in past games. We just didn't put ourselves in good enough positions to get off the field. That's really what it all boils down to, is we didn't make enough plays defensively. We didn't get after Jared Goff well enough. The secondary and the linebackers didn't cover well enough. They were too comfortable on offense. That's what it all boiled down to, is the Rams were way too comfortable in this game, really on both sides of the football. They were never threatened by our offense at all. And because of that, it allowed them to kind of just coast offensively. They didn't have to take any risk. They could be really calculated in what they did. And their defense got to pin their ears back and come after us because we weren't in a position where running the football was really – and it felt like we weren't out of the game and we could still run it, but we weren't – it just felt like we weren't even trying to run the football. I felt like we gave up on the run way too early in this game. And we weren't having very much success anyway. Let's be honest with ourselves. The run wasn't working, but I think some of that was for a lack of trying as well. So a lot of things fundamentally wrong with this game. The offensive line wasn't good. The quarterback in particular. So let me go back in a second and tell you, I was impressed with Kyle Allen. I think I said this yesterday. I don't know if I got to expound upon that. I thought he did some good things. Somebody brought up a really good point, that the one drive that he had for a touchdown was aided by penalties. I don't care. You're right. You're absolutely right. He got help. I think there were at least one, if not 2 personal foul penalties that helped on that drive. I don't care. Those things are a part of the game. We had a stupid personal foul penalty on Montez Sweat that I didn't necessarily love, but it's a part of the game. You know, we got a couple soft ticky-tackers. They got a couple soft ticky-tackers. That's how it goes. So he made the most of it. He converted on a 3rd and 7 to Terry for a first down. That was a big throw. You know, again, like I said, he was doing some really good things, and you could see the mobility that he brings to the table. You could see that if things break down, he's willing to create off schedule with his legs, potentially with his arms down the road if he gets an opportunity to do so. Like, I felt like this offense was running on schedule and running as it was supposed to run with him back there. I just felt like a different sense of comfort and a higher level of comfort knowing that this guy knows this offense. He's going to get us in and out of the huddle, in and out of good and bad plays, and that if a guy's open, he's going to get it to him immediately. It just felt like there was a sense of urgency and rhythm with this offense when he was back there. Even though we weren't highly successful, I just felt more confident with him back there. I thought we actually had a chance in this game with him back there until he got injured. So that's nor here nor there. Let's get to in other news, where Ron Rivera stepped to the podium today and spoke about the game yesterday, and he pretty much said, hey, look, he's our guy. It's Kyle Allen. You know, he's going to start if he is healthy. You know, we're going to reevaluate him on Wednesday, see how he feels. He's a little sore today, if he's feeling good. And I'm pretty sure if Kyle Allen isn't feeling good, he's going to feel good by Wednesday, because essentially what they're telling him is, we're giving you a chance to start again. And he's already said, look, you don't get many of these opportunities. Can't let it, because, again, if he doesn't take all the reps, and say Alex takes all the reps this week, Alex gets in there and plays well, they're going to go with Alex. And Kyle knows that. So I would assume that we're going to see Kyle Allen back out there on Wednesday. And he's going to be ready to go. And we're going to hear from him after practice on Wednesday, because we usually hear from the quarterback when they make themselves available to the media. And he'll be like, yeah, I feel good. You know, and he may be hurting still, but he's going to feel good enough to go. And he's going to be taking all the reps in practice. I guarantee you that. And I feel good knowing that he's going to take the reps. I think we got a shot on Sunday versus the Giants. Now, I watched the Giants and Cowboys game, as many of you probably did as well. And if we're going to beat the Giants, we're going to have to score some damn points. Like, even though their offense isn't good, our defense hasn't been great. And unless we can get after, you know, the quarterback, which I think this is the first week where I feel like we actually are going to have a chance to get after the quarterback since week 3 against Cleveland. I thought we had a shot to get after Baker Mayfield. That was the last time we were going into a game healthy. I think we're going to have a legitimate shot at getting after Daniel Jones. I watched the Cowboys. They were struggling getting to the quarterback this year. They got to Daniel Jones. They forced a fumble. I think we're going to be able to get to Daniel Jones. I really do like the matchups that we have up front. Now the question is, can we execute? And we'll talk about that later on in the week. But Ron talked about the third down defense again, said, look, you know, we have to get off the field on third downs, and we got to do a better job in the early downs of putting ourselves in a position to get off the field on third downs. And he said, look, sometimes we'll come up and we'll get a stop on first and second down, and we got them in third down and 6 or 7, and we just don't get off the field for whatever reason. And he brought up the DeShazer Everett play, where it's 3rd and 7, which is where we want the Rams, 3rd and long. And Jared Goff is under a little bit of duress, not a ton, but enough to force him to get the football out. He throws it to the receiver over the middle field, Cooper Kupp, and DeShazer Everett reads it. He jumps it, and he's there, and he just runs over Cooper Kupp, gets there way too early, and it's pass interference. And Ron is like, dude, if you're going to get there that early, go make a play on the ball. Don't run the receiver over. Go make a play on the ball. So just little stuff like that, you know? And so he talked about the quarterback position and his decision-making as to why Alex stayed in there. Essentially, he said, yeah, we threw Alex to the wolves, is without saying it. He said, yeah, we didn't want Kyle to get hurt because we think he's the guy that gives us the best chance to win. So we threw Alex out there as a sacrificial lamb. That's essentially what he said. Now, obviously, he didn't mean it that way. And he's not going to admit that that's what he meant, but that's what he said. Like, we didn't want Kyle to get hurt, so you wanted Alex to then get hurt then. You know, but obviously you're not looking for anybody to get hurt. And he felt like Kyle was in a vulnerable spot because he was already nicked and banged up and didn't want to put him at further risk, which I get. But Alex going out there is at a risk too, you would think. But he was pretty much saying, look, the doctors cleared him. Alex is fine. He can get out there. And Aaron Donald jumped on his back like a damn gorilla. And was on his back for like 3 seconds before he fell down. So Alex's knee held up under the stress of this game. And Alex took some hits. And Alex was mobile. And he got out of the pocket a couple of times. Like, he's fine. We don't have to be squeamish every time he steps on the field anymore. Like, we're over that now. And I think that's what Ron was trying to accomplish by putting him out there. Was like, hey, we need to rip the Band-Aid off. Okay? Everybody is so nervous. I'm tired of answering questions about if you got to go in the game. Well, you're going in. You're fine. You're ready to go. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. So if we need you in the future, you're not going to have this nervous energy and everyone's not going to be holding their collective breath because you've gotten in the game. Let's get this out of the way now. And he did. And it wasn't pretty, but he got it out of the way. Alex has gotten this behind him. Now he can just go play football. So if nothing else was accomplished in this game, that was that Alex Smith is fine. His knee will hold up and he can go out and play football. That's not to say that he won't get hurt, but at least we know he can take a hit. He's fine. So that's over and done with. And essentially that's what Ron said. Like we passed that stage now. This guy is capable of going out there and helping us. And, he touched on Dwayne once more about, Dwayne, it was a tough situation for Dwayne to be in last week. And that Dwayne handled it well on Friday. Wednesday and Thursday was a little rough for Dwayne, but he understood that. He just found out he wasn't going to start. He wasn't too happy about it. He said he did all the mental reps. He did all the mimicking on Friday behind the quarterback that was taking the reps. And so he said, Dwayne is still a part of this team. And we may ultimately need him at some point. They're not looking to go back to Dwayne at all. They're done with Dwayne. Okay. Trust me when I tell you, the only way they go back to Dwayne is if they are absolutely hurt at the quarterback position. So if Allen is fine and Smith is fine, Haskins will be your number 3 the remainder of this season. Even if they got to keep playing musical chairs at the quarterback position between Smith and Allen, they're just going to keep doing that back and forth. But under no circumstances are they looking to put Dwayne back in at all. He's done. So, that's where we stand right now with this football team. Was the defensive line good enough? Probably not. Not from a pass rush standpoint, but I think you guys don't understand that we only got 2 legitimate pass rushers on this team. Matt Ioannidis, to me, was the glue that was going to hold this line together because we don't have any interior pass rushers. We don't. And every time one of them finally does something, then you guys come out of the woodworks. Well, you keep talking about Daron Payne can't get to the quarterback. Where the hell is Daron Payne getting to the quarterback? Where's Jonathan Allen getting to the quarterback? Because these guys aren't producing pressure consistently. Every now and again, they'll produce a little bit of pressure. But on a consistent basis, the only guy that was doing that was Matt Ioannidis. He's no longer here for this season. Sweat got to the quarterback, which was great to see. And Chase Young got there one time, and he forced the interception. Outside of that, Chase Young was getting a steady diet of chips, double teams, and nobody else was winning. And they were all getting one-on-ones because Chase was getting double teamed. So, and sometimes you're getting double teamed on the interior with a center and a guard. But for the most part, nobody else is winning, man. That's got to change versus the Giants. It's got to change this upcoming week. But again, we'll have plenty of time to talk about that and cross that bridge when we get there. So that's going to do it for tonight's show. I thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to chopping it up with you and reading your comments in the comment section of how you thought this game went. A lot of you guys were pissed. I did not expect some of the venom and rage I got yesterday after the game, but some of you guys were hot after the game yesterday, and it was not pretty. But I didn't expect that kind of reaction to that game, knowing that Alex was put in a tough spot. And Ron Rivera said that today. We put Alex in a tough spot. Yeah, and I said that in the moment. I said it on Twitter. I said that after the game, they put Alex in a no-win situation, which put the rest of this team in a no-win situation. And I just thought you guys would understand that, but you weren't trying to hear it. And look, I don't blame you. It was a really bad performance. It reminded me of last year. I don't like going back to last year because last year was so bad. This would have fit right in with the performance from last year. This was bad. This was all the way bad. But as I told you, I think our season starts this week. The 2020 season gets underway here because we got 6 games against teams under 500. And if we can't beat them, then we consider us one of the worst teams in football. And we deserve everything that is coming our way if we can't beat these teams coming up on the schedule. And I'm not saying we're supposed to, but we need to be a hell of a lot more competitive than giving up 30 plus every week and losing by 2 scores or more every week. Because, you know, since week 2, we've lost by double figures, 2 scores every single week. 15 to Arizona, we lost by. 17 to Cleveland, we lost by. 14, we lost to the Ravens. And now 20 to the Rams. We've got to, those teams are good. They're all over 500. These next 6 teams are not over 500. The only team that will have a shot to be over 500 by the time we get there is more likely than not Dallas. That is it. Everybody else will more likely than not be under 500 when we get there. We got the Giants twice. They will be under 500 by the time we see them both times. Even if they beat us, they will be under 500. They can win every single game they've got until that next game we play them, and they will still be under 500. These teams stink. So do we. I get that. I'm acknowledging that. But we better be a lot more competitive and be in a position to win these games. Or, yeah, we're exactly what some of you are saying, which is a top 5 drafting team in 2021 and one of the worst teams in football. You'll be spot on, and I'll be ready to admit that. I don't think that's what you're going to see these next 6 weeks. I don't. I really don't think you're going to see that. And I think it starts with this game coming up on Sunday. But we've got plenty of time to talk about that. Tomorrow we'll focus on the offense from this last week's game. Wednesday we'll focus on the defense, and then we'll turn the page. We'll take our first look at the Giants on Wednesday's show, and then we'll turn our direction to the Giants fully on Thursday and really go full steam ahead because I think our season really begins in week 6. I'm excited. I know some of you are not. I am, however. But that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I thank you for joining me here on this show. Remember, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Hit that like button on the way out as well. And also, remember, 16-game season, man. We're only 5 games in. All right, we were supposed to be rebuilding. This was supposed to be a rebuilding season. Relax. You can overreact if we get run by the Giants next week. Then you can overreact. I'll be right there overreacting with you, okay? But relax. We got time still. Anyway, I'm your man, Louie T, and this has been Washington Football Nightly. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's